So, Abe, you've had the sum total of what, as we do math here, maybe 12 hours to think about things after Atlanta United got another big win at home. Now that you've had a nap, maybe a cup of coffee, and some highlights and some post game, what sticks out in your mind after the big win?
Yeah, if we're being honest, I think Atlanta United has a new Golden Boot contender in Jamal T.R.A. And I don't know how Yakimakis is going to hold them off. April Fools and happy April 1st to everyone. Yakimakis got his goals in as well. But this is the effort that we expect from Atlanta United. This is the summation of what we knew a week ago in Toronto was you miss that many guys, that many first teamers, that many starters, you're not going to look like yourself. But when you come back and bring these guys back into the fold, you are, quite frankly, one of the more dangerous teams in the MLS. And it played itself out from a number of different angles. Obviously, second game at home that you get a goal right before half then leads to multiple goals in the second half. That's a trend we got to keep our eye on as we play more games, and hopefully we can get that going on the road as well. But it's also your second clean sheet at home, and it's a situation, even without Steon Gregerson, Noah Cobb stepping in there, when you have the upper spine of your team, when you have Almada and Yakimakis, Moyamba, Sleesh, and those guys, you have to defend. Like, the opponents have to defend so hard to keep Atlanta United from scoring. They just can't really get into their attack. And so you are able to keep them off the scoreboard. And quite frankly, we know what happened with Carlos Heel a couple weeks ago. I mean, that one very clearly could have been a clean sheet as well, if not for an 80-plus minute wonder strike. So the defense is very strong. I think it's buoyed by the fact that you have to be scared of the Atlanta United offense. And Chicago came into this game having 9 goals. They were one of the best offensive teams in all of the MLS, and they just had nothing going. And this is the second, maybe third time that Atlanta United has just completely removed an opponent's best player, their strongest attacker, from having any relevancy in the game with Kuipers there yesterday. And so just look, it goes all around, right? It's not just the players, but like the midweek preparation, detailing how you want to impact them defensively, who you want to focus on, coming up with a game plan, executing that game plan, and then on game day showing up. This was a complete effort from Atlanta United. You have to be happy. Obviously, Yakimakis gets the goal. He gets a couple of injury scares. Tia comes in possibly just to protect Yakimakis, puts one home with his first touch. It's becoming increasingly clear that Brooks Lennon is one of the MLS's preeminent crossers in the entire league. And then, to the icing on his actual birthday cake, TRA with a really nice touch after a shot from Almada hits the post, composed finish on that second one, gets a birthday brace. This was just an outstanding effort from Atlanta United. Now the question comes, we've seen it at home 3 times. Let's go get some points on the road.
Yeah, and the phrase that our Jarrett Smith likes to use, knife fight in a phone booth, can apply, I guess, for the match that just happened and going to New York to play NYCFC. When you have a team in Chicago that at one point only had 20 in the first 15 minutes, the number of passes completed was 90-27 in favor of Atlanta United. And it seemed like Chicago just wanted Atlanta United to sit there and, y'all do the work. We're going to chill, almost to the Marshawn Lynch idea of I'm just here so I, or a Kurt Busch, I'm just here so I don't get fined. One of those kinds of things. Atlanta United, y'all do the hard work. We're going to sit here. Everything's cool. We're going to try to take advantage of situations. And it took a while for Atlanta United to bang on that door and then finally smash it in with that one right before the half.
Yeah, I think there are instances, and honestly, I thought Atlanta United should have played this way against Toronto. But I think there are instances where you kind of just I don't know, let's just hope for a wonder goal and see if we can hold on for however much time is left. That's kind of what I felt out of Chicago yesterday. It was I don't know, we'll see if some opportunities appear. Maybe we find some lucky nonsense way to get on the board first, and then we'll just hold on. That obviously didn't happen. Again, even the shots that were technically shot, I mean, half of them were Brad Guzan in center field waving off the right field. He's like, I got this one. It just comes, he's fielding a fair catch, It's a punt. I mean, half of them weren't really damaging shots. I know he had to go to the ground late to make a save off of a free kick. You had Sabalo Janitze, who played outstanding yesterday, get his foot to deflect one that maybe would have been troubling for Goose. But really, the chances were not there. I mean, you go back to what the XG was. I think it was, and somehow every site has a different XG. So whatever site you use, the one I used said it was 4.0 for Atlanta United and 0.7 for the Chicago Fire. So that should tell you all you need to know. But yeah, I think as more teams try and figure out what's our best way to attack this Atlanta United team, because look, we know they like possession, but they've also shown they can score in transition. There's no doubt about that. They've shown that they have a much stronger defense than maybe a lot of people anticipated coming into the season. And so finding one is going to be difficult. And I really don't know what the best way to beat Atlanta United is. I guess
supposed to let people know that, Abe.
Well, I don't know. I think the key is playing them on international break. I think that's where we've settled is like, let's get 5 of their players out, and then maybe we stand a chance. But, I mean, realistically, are you comfortable in a shootout with Atlanta United, knowing that they have Giakoumakis and Thiago Almada up front, 2 of the game's best playmakers and goal scorers? You don't really want to play that. And that's maybe what I thought Chicago would try and do is like, I don't know, like maybe this is some of those like 3-2, 4-3 games that we've seen in the MLS this year. They didn't do it that way. All right, so like what's your best plan? Like try and win a game 1-0? Like are we really holding Atlanta United off the score sheet entirely? Are we really going to keep them down to 1 goal? Like that doesn't seem to work either. I mean, it's got to be a nightmare to look at this team, what they've put on tape this year, and say, all right, here's how we beat them. Let's do this, because their defense isn't falling apart, right? It's not the situation you're going to expect with Inter Miami where goals will be had because they're pushing. It's not that, but it's also not, one of these teams that tries to score a goal and parks the bus and sits back there, and if they can cling for 60 minutes. I mean, I don't really know what the game plan is. Right now, we still need to see them do it on the road. I think we understand, though, the opening part of the season against Columbus, Thiago Almada was not in participation with the group. He didn't look like himself in that first game. It's a game that you lost on the road 1-0. And then I don't think we really need to explain what happened in Toronto. That was somewhat expected. So it's going to be really interesting moving forward to see just how dangerous this team is on the road. That's the trend we've been talking about all offseason, right? Can they get points on the road? And I kind of throw away these first 2 results. We get our first real opportunity this week to see, because if this team starts racking up points on the road, knowing what we know about how they're going to defend Mercedes-Benz Stadium, you're looking at a team that's going to catapult up the standings pretty quickly.
Abe Gordon hanging out with us for his traditional cup of coffee. Oh, by the way, Abe, what is in the mug? What is nearby? What is the liquid that is
I got this bad boy here, just a jug of water. I do chug an energy drink on the way to work most of the times. Today was some sort of Pacific Punch Monster, I think. But I don't know. I don't play favorites when it comes to energy drinks. As long as it's got some little flavor to it, I'm good to go.
Okay. We always like to sit here and gauge on the morning show how folks get into their mornings. And so when you're there at 92.9, where you've got the big jug ready to go, I didn't know coffee or energy drink or dihydrogen oxide. I didn't know how you were playing things this morning. It looks like it's choice tea, all the above. Let's talk defense. And one of the things that is that if you wanted to talk to Gonzalo Pineda, first topic, hey, clean sheet. I know that is massively important to you. And what you're seeing are the guys up front. You're seeing Gigi come back and help defend. Saba, I'd love to know how many miles he's clocked.
7.4.
7.4 for Saba. And that's not quite Bartosz Slishian, but that's close. And you have Bart who wants to, who's running around all over the place. You have guys who want to double back from the front line to help out things defensively to continue these clean sheets. And you also mentioned Noah Cobb, who got to integrate once again with Derek Williams in this match. And you're seeing Noah's numbers and Noah's confidence. Not that he didn't have it in the first place going up against dudes that are twice his age, but Noah more than happy just to be there at the back. And Gonzalo Pineda was very, very very specific in his praise on Noah Cobb's growth once again at the back with Derek Williams.
Yeah, look, I mean, he spoke about it post-game. There are things that they need to work on, things that they want to address, but you take the steps forward that he's had largely, and it's all positive. And the question that I asked going into the game yesterday and last week at Toronto, which I was a tough answer because you go down 2-0 and obviously some of it's on the center backs, but certainly not all of it. Certainly not specifically on him. But it's at any point, does he look like he's lost? Does he look like he doesn't belong? That was far from the case yesterday. And I think the confidence, as you mentioned, is growing. I think the fact that they did face a very strong offense and held them scoreless is going to boost that. I think the fact that he's now paired with Derek Williams for a second time boosts that. And I think, we talk about Luis Abram coming back from international break. Would they start Cobb again? Would they slide Abram in there who's got a little bit more experience? We saw Abram actually come in the later stages and slide a little bit wide, which is an interesting look. It throws you out of a couple of obvious formation possibilities down the road. But this is a situation where Cobb continues to play to the point where, when Steon Gregerson is back in 100%, obviously you'll return Steon into that lineup. But I don't see any changes being made in regards to Noah Cobb. I thought he played outstanding. Again, you're going to nitpick because you want to take every opportunity to have in-game improvements. And so, hey, why did you do this pass? You had this one open, or you didn't have to rush the clearance. You could have done it this way. You're going to nitpick a couple of things, but on the whole, it was a really strong performance from Cobb and one that has earned him another opportunity to go on the road into a tough environment and perform again.
All right. So my last question for you has to do with today on the calendar. How are you when it comes to April Fool's jokes, doing them in the media purview, those kinds of things? Have you done anything where, I don't know, Brian Leach gets traded to the Hartford Whalers or anything like that? How are you when it comes to your April Fools and April Fool's jokes?
Yeah, here's the problem with April Fool's jokes on social media is people, it goes two ways. One, people don't check sources. And then in general, so like we've seen like the fake accounts get retweeted by like legitimate reporters because they're just not paying attention, or, the one letter off fake account that kind of looks like, there's probably an OSC Nelson out there, like parlaying themselves off as you, as opposed to the real OSG Nelson.
There you go.
So you got to be careful with that. And, I honestly don't, because sometimes it just gets blown way out of proportions that you're reporting something or suggesting something that's not real. And so I just stay away from it in terms of making them, especially in radio. I think people, because they also may not hear you say, I'm just kidding, it was April Fool. Like if they listen for 1 minute, turn off the phone or turn off the radio to call someone, did you hear this? And they don't hear the second part of you telling it's April Fool's, you can get yourselves into real trouble and your credibility gets questioned. I stay away from it. I'm extra careful on Twitter to see who's posting what. Is it real? Could it be taken as real? Is it obviously a joke? So I don't know. It gets dangerous if you're trying to like maintain credibility. If you have none anyways, go for it. Like, who cares?
And that is not Abe Gordon on.
That's right.
It's at Abe. He's not the Gorton's fisherman by any stretch of the imagination. Not related. At Abe Gordon from our friends at 92.9 The Game. He's going to go to work. So he's going to take his rather large tub of liquid and head away from that studio. Abe, my friend, it's great to catch up with you as we always do on Mondays. We will catch up with you after another knife fight in a phone booth at Yankee Stadium next week, where the pitch is regulation size, and we'll find out what happened with Atlanta United on the road. Thanks again, my friend.
Yeah, don't forget, this time it is back on Star 94, the pregame and postgame here. And, yeah, looking forward to it. We got 3 points at home. That's great. Now let's get some on the road.